Oh my god. I'm the tomato basil girl. Okay, that's gonna be really annoying. We're gonna have to do this the whole time to protect you from the scary light. I am tomato basil girl. I speak for the tomatoes, and today we are doing a review of my favorite book of the year so far, which is Chlorine by Jade Song. I want to put some disclaimers before we get into it, because I was not prepared. I do wish, Noah Shade, I'm going to tell you who she is. This is Noah Shade, are like mean, because she read this book a while ago, the girl who recommended it to me. She didn't recommend it to me personally. She recommended it to her TikTok. I watch her TikTok religiously. So I saw it. Her name is Mandy Rules. She's probably my favorite bookstagrammer. I've been really into bookstagram. It happened before, when I first started reading, when I was a literal child. I didn't like watching book content because it stressed me out, because I felt like I wasn't reading enough, and now I'm very comfortable with the amount I'm reading, so it doesn't stress me out anymore. But she's incredible. Please go follow her. Genuinely, if go follow her. But I love her. But she was like, oh, this is a book about a girl who thinks she's a mermaid, and it was like, she sews her legs together, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. But I wasn't, and it's partially my fault, because I should have known it was gonna be crazy. I wasn't prepared for how crazy. So I want to put some disclaimers. Also, I was originally supposed to do a blood moon all-nighter where I finished. It's currently I feel like this is peak talking about chlorine hours, but it is 3:58 a.m. It's about to be 4 a.m. and I'm not even through with my Alani, so I guess we're staying up. But I was gonna finish Blood Moon tonight, and then I was like, I'm not going to. I made a good amount. I'm 68% through, which, no, maybe 61. Those are two different numbers. 60 something, which is above where I wanted to be. I wanted to get to 50% tonight, so I am happy with that. And I do feel like I was productive. So I'm done reading for tonight. That's required to. I will still read if I want to, but I'm done reading what I'm requiring myself to, if that makes sense. Anyways, back to what I was saying. I just wanted to put some quick trigger warnings and talk about my place of privilege real quick in a couple different ways. So first off, this book has mentions of self-harm, if you can see by sewing her legs together, and also eating disorders. I will do EDs. I will say EDs for this, and maybe SH. I don't know. I don't like SH. I feel like it sounds stupid. That's my opinion. As somebody who's struggled with that, I'm like, that sounds stupid. And I also will be using SA in form of sexual assault, simply because it's easier. Here's the thing. I don't like a lot of the terms people use to describe something big and bad. Graped, I think is so disrespectful. Pew pew is so disrespectful. However, I do think abbreviating isn't controversial. I'm not offended by it. If you are, let me know. I probably won't stop because I don't agree with you, but I am curious. But just know, I will make it very clear, EDs means eating disorders, SH means self-harm, SA means sexual assault. I'm also not afraid to use the word rape. And also, I don't care about being demonetized because, bitch, I have 2 subscribers. So, here's the thing. We are going to talk lightly about eating disorders and a little less lightly about self-harm. But we are also we are going to discuss topics of sexual assault. And this, I want to be very clear. I am nervous to talk about this on the internet just because people are so stupid and they just don't want to believe victims ever, and they just want to twist it. I am not ashamed to say I stand with victims. That does not give me anxiety. What gives me anxiety is having to deal with stupid people who say stupid things. And I also am not going to disclose any of my personal experience with that stuff because I don't want to. And that's really all the reason you need, kind of. That's everything you need. So just know we're going to be talking about it. We're not going to go into detail or anything, obviously, but we're just going to talk about that and how, spoiler alert, I think Jade Song, the author of this book, wrote it incredibly well and incredibly respectful, and I think it's the best way I've heard about that media be dealt with. And when I'm reading a book, because I'm actually working on my own book. I'm working on my own book. And this book will be a huge inspiration. And when I'm really consuming any type of media besides like maybe music, but like TV shows, movies, books, I try to like say, what do I want to include when I'm reviewing it. I have a media journal where I review everything. I try to be like, what do I want to include? And this book, I want to include so much. I don't want to include everything because I am not a body horror girl. I'm also like, this book, hold on, I have to like, is that obnoxious? Does it kind of look like I'm... Hold on, I have to pull my pants up. Does it kind of look like I'm, like, God? And I'm, like, speaking to you from the heavens? Hello, people. Okay, anyways, I am not a big fan of the unreliable narrator trope, and I'm also not a big fan of, like, the not based in reality trope. That's why it's funny, because I want to read... This was a Weird Girl lip fic. If you don't know what a lip fic is... By the way, I don't have any talking points in this video. It's purely rambles. This is more for me than anything else. But if you want like a concise thing, I don't know. I'm sorry, look up reviews. But I hope they're as optimistic as me, because this was genuinely my favorite book I read all year. And I was kind of happy it dethroned the other book, because the other book was Heated Rivalry. That was my other 6-star. And I was like, I love Heated Rivalry. I'm not ashamed. However, I don't want it to be my favorite book of the year, because I don't want it to be. Like, that's my opinion. I still think it's an incredible book. And I heard people be like, I heard Potter's mom, to be clear. I say people, it was Potter's mom. It was a singular person, it was Potter's mom. Who is Potter's mom? She's an insane cat content creator. I don't say insane derogatory at all. She's incredible. And she's doing Space Abort Spring, where she's saving cats from motherhood, which I do appreciate. Because there's an overpopulation crisis, if you're unaware. If you know anything about cats or dogs. Just so you know. Anyways, she said the TV show is better than the book, and I was like, I'm nervous it will be. And then I read the book, and I was like, don't ever disrespect me like that, Potter's mom, ever again. How dare you? But I still love her. But yeah, Heated Rivalry was my only other 6 stars so far. I really like reading. I haven't read a single book. That's not true. I read Twilight. Twilight was not good. But other than that, I also read this really bad poetry collection that I will not be naming because, like, I don't want to shit on the author, but it simply was not good. Those are the only 2 books I read where I'm like, these sucked. Otherwise, everything else has been really fun. Even the stuff I was like, it was okay. I still enjoyed myself. I still had fun. So, I've enjoyed really everything. It's been a good time. But Chlorine was my first 5-star in over a month. My last 5-star was in February. It was I Who Have Never Known Men, which is, again, another book where I'm like, I knew nothing about it. I didn't even know it was a classic when I started it. So when I figured out it was a classic, I was like, wait a fucking minute. Very good book. Very good book. We're not going to be talking about it here. I did do a video talking about it if you are curious. It's older now. By older, I mean it's like in February. And I've only gotten better at this. So it will truly be no different. But if you are curious and you want spoilers, I'm a spoiler girl. Love spoilers. I actually only looked at spoilers for Chlorine to the very end. I withheld for the very end. But I did search up if it had a happy ending. Unfortunately, I had to break it to you. It does not. I thought it had a happy ending from the spoilers I read, but apparently I just like stopped reading the spoilers before the end because... or I just, like, didn't register what it said because the ending left me very unhappy. Not dissatisfied, but unhappy. Anyways, the point is, I am a romance girly. And second, I'm a fantasy girly. I'm a low fantasy girly. Don't like a high fantasy, like a low fantasy. I was actually going to start the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, but I had the first book, like, on alone. I had it on Libby. But then I saw the second book was a 23-week wait, and I was like, I'm just, like, not... willing to do that. You know? I was like, yeah, no. Like, I'm not doing that. So, I'm reading Problematic Summer Romance, which is problematic, like it said. It's an age gap romance. I wasn't going to talk about this publicly, so I'm going to be very niche. But recently I was following this girl, and like all the people I follow on BookTok follow her. And then she was like, oh, I'm in an age gap romance. And she didn't say the age gap, but she said something that like, it's very obvious there's an age gap. And I was like, no. So I'm really reading problematic summer romance as like an experiment. I'm like, what? How am I gonna feel about this, you know? So we'll see. Anyways, back to what I was saying. I like weird girl lit flicks from the one I've read, which is Chlorine. I like them on brand. The only thing is a lot of them do have body horror, and again, I am not a fan of an unreliable narrator, and also a narrative that's like not based in reality, which Chlorine is. I wouldn't call our narrator like super unreliable. She's kind of like, she gives it to us straight what's happening. Like I never feel like she's in denial about stuff until the end, when she like sews her legs together and like, I'm a mermaid, which like, you know what, girl, you deserve to be a mermaid after what you went through. But I appreciate that she was like, it wasn't that she was unreliable, it's more of just like it wasn't based in reality. Like the easiest way to explain it is she's experiencing psychosis, but this psychosis has been going on since she was like 4 years old, that's crazy. Good for you, girl. But also, I'll pay for your therapy, and I don't have money. I'll do something illegal. I'll pay for your therapy. You deserve it, girl. You deserve a good therapist. Good medication. I can hook you up with my psychiatrist. Yeah, that's how I felt reading this. Anyways, we're gonna get into the actual book now. But I did enjoy it a lot. The only things I really don't want to take away is like the body horror and like the not based in reality narrators. That's just like not books I enjoy usually. This was an exception. And it's also like a book I don't think I'd ever want to write. I like grounded in reality, at most like in denial. So, but yeah, so to explain what this book is about, I kind of did briefly earlier, but basically it is a book about a girl who does swim. She's on her high school swim team, but she's actually been swimming for that team since she was 7. They like had like a juniors thing, and so she's been swimming since she was 7, and since she was 4, has convinced she's going to turn into a mermaid. And the book ends with her sewing her legs together during her swim competition, coming out and saying, I'm a mermaid, and everyone being like, that was their exact reaction. And then she got taken to the hospital. This is like very huge spoilers. And they were gonna like surgically unstitch her legs, and her parents were freaking out. So her gay best friend, who's gay for her, they're gay for each other, Kathy, sneaks her out of the hospital, which like all I was thinking about this whole time, like after the end of the book, I was like, is Kathy gonna go to jail? Because she technically kidnapped this girl. Anyway, she kidnaps her friend Ren. That's the girl's name, Ren. And she takes her to the ocean or the lake or whatever. And then Ren, the last moments they kiss and they're swimming together. And then it ends with Ren swimming off because she's a mermaid. And if you're like, what the fuck? Hey, let's learn to be a little kinder to our mermaid friends. Now, this book deeply disturbed me at points. Okay, listen. I talked about her sewing her legs together, so, like, I kind of already did, but there's a part, and this is gonna sound stupid, like, to people who actually read the book, they're gonna be like, why don't you want to talk about that? That's so stupid. Here's my thing. I have OCD, and when I hear something disturbing, some of it will click into my head, and I'll think about it at random moments when I'm supposed to be happy, and I'll get gutturally uncomfortable, and I'll hunch down, and I'll shake, and I'll feel scared, and I just don't want you to do this. Maybe the sewing to the legs also I shouldn't have mentioned, but like we're too in deep. This thing I won't mention. However, if you've read the book, you know it's the bobbing the apples, when the girls are bobbing the apples for their swim game. And you're like, that's so insignificant. That's not even scary. Yes, it is. So I'm sorry. I don't mean to like cock block you, but I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want to talk about it. It scares me. Anyways, so here's the thing. I don't know what it's like for the physical book. I'm assuming this is in the physical book. Oh my god, that wall looks so bare because I took down all my Twilight stuff. You see the Twilight stuff? Wait, maybe if I do this. Oh, that's Zuko. That's my close personal friend, Zuko. The new Avatar movie looks so good. And I don't know how I feel about watching it because it's been leaked. Oh, Zuko, come on. Zuko! Be respectful. Should I just put him there? No. Okay, I'm gonna put him over here. Because it's been leaked and I feel bad for the animators, but also I really want to watch it. And they all are so hot. Like, the whole group's hot. Like, even Aang. I never thought I'd see Aang as hot. That's really hard for me. That's really hard. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Yeah, so the book starts off with a content warning. It's just like, that's how you know it's gonna be good. And it talks about eating disorders, self-harm, and sexual violence. And so, like, I'm immediately terrified. I'm like, what? And so immediately I'm like, oh, it's her coach. Because if you don't know, if you've never read the book, she's a very creepy and abusive coach who, like, throws chairs at them when he gets mad. And also is, like, way too handsy. And it's just gross. And I was like, oh my god, he's going to hurt her in more than one way. Like, it's going to be bad. It wasn't him. Here's when I talk about the sexual assault. If you want to skip forward, that is okay. However, I am not talking about anything in detail. I promise. Because she doesn't write it in detail, which I really appreciate. Here's the thing with most sexual assault that was not written by survivors / not written by women. It goes into a grotesque amount of detail. And I'm not talking, it doesn't even, like, a grotesque amount of detail to me doesn't mean, like, full on describing what is happening. I think it means also, like, almost giving excuses to what is happening, like what she was wearing, if she was drunk, and also, like, it just takes away from the victim so much, showing what happened. I feel like in real life and in media, it's so important that, like, we don't need to know exactly what happened to believe victims. I'm not saying, like, you like, if you want like, I get some people want evidence. This is so hard to talk about, especially at 4 a.m. But, like, I think we need to understand as a society that we don't need to know every single detail. We don't even need to know a lot. All we really need to know is that it happened. That's it. And the way this scene is written is it's a 7 minutes in heaven, because of course it's a 7 minutes in heaven. Nothing good has come from that game, ever. So it's a 7 minutes from heaven, and she goes into it, and it gives, like, a bunch of scenarios of what could have happened. And then it basically ends up saying, like, none of that happened. You're not going to know what happened, ever. But this is how I felt. This is how I felt during it. And I was like, okay, that was... And I really like this. I really don't think you ever have to show sexual assault to make it clear what happened. I think there's many ways you can talk about sexual assault without talking about it in details. I really appreciate it. And I also appreciate that, like, it showed how it affected her forward and how it led to her spiral. And I just really liked it. I really liked the way it was written. It's not, like, my favorite part of the book by any means. It's not even the part that, like, affected me most, but it's definitely the part that, like, stuck out to me most. Like, I've never heard of assault being described in that way, where you don't get details. You don't get to hear what happened. You just know what happened. And it was not triggering at all. If you're, like, worried it's gonna trigger you because of the assault scene, it didn't trigger me personally. I can't speak for everyone, especially if, like, it just happened to you, or, like, it's really affecting you, or, like, if it's, like, it's really close to home right now. I can't speak for you, but for me personally, it was not... I don't like this angle, but I have to... God is calling me, and I have to block him. It did not trigger me at all. It felt like, I don't want to say refreshing, because it was a scene of a girl getting assaulted, but I think it felt refreshing to not have to hear about the gory details and about I just don't want to hear about that. And I get it if, like, you're a survivor and you want to share what happened to you, that's okay. But I just think we need to understand, like, we don't need all the details. We really don't, to believe somebody. We really don't. We don't need to know what she was wearing, if she was drunk. Like, we don't need to, like, her lawyers, the court needs to know that. We don't. As, like, people on TikTok, people on YouTube, like, we don't need to know everything. And, like, and normally, I'm like, if you're gonna go public with something, you should, like, have the evidence. With sexual assault, I'm like, I don't need to know. I don't need to know everything that happened. I believe you. Like, you know? Um, I feel like that should be obvious. But to some people, they just hate women. So. I have a mosquito. And mosquito bites all over me. Generally all over my back. So bad. Okay. Anyways. Back to what I was saying. That's all I'm gonna talk about. Also, her coach is like, I don't want to say I'm not gonna say pedophile because it's stupid, but that's the one where I'm like, can I say that? But he is, like, even though he didn't, like, explicitly assault any of them, he's also, like, extremely abusive. Anyways, okay, well, God is just gonna be with us. No, that looks stupid. Oh my goodness, my life's so hard. Kim, there are people dying. Okay, anyways, I also, if you don't know, this story has both immigrant representation and queer representation. Our main character, Ren's parents are immigrants. And, and also, her and her best friend, Kathy, are gay for each other. And they don't, like, really explicitly do anything until the last chapter, where they kiss. Spoilers. I just solved all my problems. I'm so uneven. That's good enough. This is my favorite candle. That doesn't work. I just smell it when I have panic attacks. That was a good deep breath. I need that. Okay. Kathy and her are, like, super gay for each other, and it's, like, super obvious to everyone, including them. It's not, like, one of those books where it's, like, we're not gay for each other. It's just more one of those books where, like, we're not gonna do anything, which I'm like, you know what? Okay. That's fine, I guess. That's not, like, a critique of the book. I understand why she wrote it that way. However, I wouldn't necessarily, like, I would say this is sapphic representation, but I wouldn't be like, this is a sapphic romance. This book is not a romance. But it's definitely, like, at one point, she talks about thinking about Kathy, you know, helping her out during a certain activity. And I was like, oh my god. Live, laugh, lesbians. So, it's Lesbian Visibility Week, and that's why I read this book. No other reason. And that's the only reason I read this book, and more that I didn't read it during Lesbian Visibility Week. I read it purely because, of the lesbians. I love you, lesbians. I love you. Anyways, yeah, so they're gay for each other, and that was really fun, and that was really fresh and flirty, and no, it was actually really sad, because, they definitely, like, specifically Ren was not good to Kathy. Here's the thing. Do I think Ren's, like, a good person? No. However, do I think she has the opportunity to be a good person? Also no. She is being her father left her to go to China. Bitch move. Her coach is abusing her. She got sexually assaulted by one of her classmates, and nobody else cares. Her classmates treat her like shit. She's isolated. Like, I completely understand why she did what she did. Do I wish she didn't do it? Do I wish she got help? Do I wish she left that fucking school and never looked back and took Kathy with her? Yes. However, I understand why she's, like, kind of mean, kind of a bitch. I would be too if I was going through what she was going through. And she's also, like, in the book, never in the right state of mind. never in the right state of mind. She's always, like, suffering and struggling, and, like, I think the thing that, like, I didn't like about the book, not because I think it was, like, bad, but it just, like, wasn't fun to consume, was, like, she never gets a moment of peace. And that was really hard because I just want her to be happy, dude. I want her and Kathy to be happy. They don't even have to end up together. That's okay, too. But can they remain friends and, like, be happy? And here's the thing. I also hate an unhappy ending. I wouldn't call this unhappy, but I wouldn't call it happy either. I wouldn't even call it hopeful, really. I just kind of call it is what it is. That's what I'm calling it. So, is this bothering you? Do you want me to move it? But now it's, like, super obvious I'm, like, not, like, lined up. Oopsie. I just want them to be happy. Yeah, so the ending, like, I wouldn't call it, like, a bad ending. Not even in, like, it was badly ran, but also not in, like, it's, like, a bad, like, it's an ending you don't want. Like, it's sad. Like, it's not good. I wouldn't call it that. I just kind of call it, like, I knew this was gonna happen, and I just kind of wish it wouldn't, but I did know this was gonna happen. So, there's really nothing I could have done about this, because I didn't write the book. And I can't, like, call Jade Song and be like, can you write an alternative ending where they just, like, get married and, like, live a happy life and kill all the men who wronged them? Can we just do that? I have a nail. Can we do that? I don't think she'll answer me. I don't have her phone number, first off. Second off, I don't think she's going to answer me if I do call. I think she'll just be like, who the fuck is this? And it'll just be me sobbing, me like, give them a happy ending. They deserve it. Sometimes I get mad at the authors for putting my favorite characters through all this pain, and then I realize it's a book, and books are kind of meant to, you're allowed to put people through pain, because it's like, if it, you know, that's allowed. But I do kind of feel anger. I'm like, why would you do this to her? Like, why would you put her through this? My favorite part about this book, the thing that, like, made it, because as soon as I started reading it, I was like, this is gonna be good. I didn't know it was gonna be a 5-star yet, because you can't really, like, judge, like, 2 chapters in that something's gonna be. Also, the narration was really good. I listened to it through audio. Very good narration. Sometimes I am not picky on my narration. I will sit through terrible narration. I didn't mind the heated rivalry and game changer narration, and if you're like, I heard a lot of shit about Kip's accent, which was bad. I ended up loving it because I got attached, and I didn't even like game changers. I just like Kip, but it's bad. But Rosenoff's Ilya's accent isn't much better, in my opinion. Like, it's kind of shit. So, but I love it. But, like, I will sit through bad narration. Because, like, no, when people are like, the narration's really bad, be warned. I'm like, that's not gonna stop me, babe. I am loyal to the audiobooks. Loyal to the audiobooks. I will not have it any other way. So, I will sit through bad narration. The narration was really good, though. Really good. There's 2 different narrators, one for Kathy, one for Ren. But I think Kathy's narrator there's 4 Kathy chapters. And the way Kathy chapters are written is they're through, letters to Ren. So they're through letters to Ren. But Ren's are just, like, normal chapters. So Ren has a narrator, and then Kathy has a narrator who, like, does the letter chapters. I will say, I do find it, which, like, brings me to my next point. I do find it extremely amusing that Kathy just goes along with anything Ren does. It is sad. Like, Ren definitely doesn't treat Kathy good. Which, like, it's not excusable, but, like, I also, like, I do understand why she really struggles to form genuine connections, because she's been hurt so badly. But she definitely doesn't treat Kathy good. She definitely, like, she treats Kathy like shit. And it's, like, it's funny because, like, she knows she's treating Kathy like shit, and then she'll have, like, random moments where she's like, but I love Kathy. I'm like, I know you do, but, like, can you spare to be a little nicer? But my favorite part of this book is the fact that I would have been obsessed with it when I was 14 to, honestly, 14 to 17, it really would have hit. And it's not that it didn't hit now. It was incredible. But, like, I'm glad I didn't read it at that age because it would have destroyed me. I think I'm more emotionally prepared for it now. But this definitely would have been, like, a hyperfixation. And it's now just, like, my favorite book, which is, like, a step down. But it's not, like, bad by any means. To me, this book is girlhood. Here's the thing. When I said earlier in the video, I'm going to talk about my place of privilege. This is what I mean. I am uncomfortable with saying I am not privileged because I don't think that's true. Because, yeah. However, I think there's areas that I am not privileged in because I am queer and I have autism and many disabilities and autism is a disability, and I also have many mental illnesses. When I said many disabilities, I just meant autism. I don't know why I said many. I have autism. I also have ADHD, which is a disability, but it doesn't affect me a lot. That I've realized that recently. Anyways, I have those, and I have many mental illnesses, and I've been on prescription meds since I was 15, and I see a therapist, and I definitely struggled with my mental health, and I had a really bad high school experience, and I'm also a woman. So trust me when I say I've had my fair share of getting fucked over by the patriarchy. However, I am not comfortable talking about how hard it is for me because... So, here's what I will say. Sometimes you'll see a girl who's, and I don't want to be a bitch. I don't want to tear other women down. I don't care if you're basic. I don't care. I don't really care at all. All I really care about is that, like, you have a personality, because I just think it's good for you. Like, your personality shouldn't be your boyfriend or another person. It should be you. It should be stuff that you care about outside of... I'm not saying your personality can't, like, include your friends and your partner and your family, but you should have, like, personality outside of people. That's my opinion. I think that's a valid opinion. I don't really care if you're basic. That's fine, babe. You're cool. You're whatever. And I do... Like, I will openly admit some of this does come from jealousy, that you gotta live, like, a more normal, traditional girlhood than I do. But, growing up autistic, it is very obvious to me that some girls did not experience being a woman the way I experienced being a woman. It also does help to say I am gender fluid, and again, I have autism. There's a really good, I don't know the artist who does it, but I bet if you, like, search it up, you'll be able to find it, who does a painting. It's, like, a bunch of LPS, and it's a bug, and it's, like, with a bow, and it's, like, I have a bow, too. And I was, like, she's, like, I'm trying not to yawn. She's like, this is my experience with autism. I'm like, yeah. That's what I'm basically talking about, is that some girls will talk about girlhood. Girlhood has kind of become a buzzword, which does make me sad because I do think it's really fun connecting to girlhood and connecting to your inner child. But some girls will talk about their experience with girlhood, and it's very clear they have a very different experience than me because, like, I was a very mentally ill teenager, and I was mentally ill, and, like, I got hospitalized multiple times mentally ill. They were mentally ill in the way where it's, like, they had anxiety, which is still valid. Like, I'm not trying to, belittle that at all, because anxiety's awful. But, like, I'm BPD and bipolar. I have both. I'm BPD and bipolar mentally ill. They're depression and anxiety mentally ill. Neither one is better than the other. I'm just saying it's a different experience. They're bipolar 2. I'm bipolar 1. Okay. Yeah. You see. So yeah, it is difficult. It is difficult, relating to girls when they talk about their experience with girlhood, because I'm like, that's not what I experienced at all. Like, what? And it's, like, funny seeing, like, what makes girls connect to their inner child and what makes me connect to my inner child. And again, I don't want to be a pick-me. I don't want to be like, I'm so quirky and different. It just does, like, I'm like, it's so hard to relate to other people with autism. Like, it's generally, like they have, like, normal interest, and I watch Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaur too many times. It's, like, it's my favorite movie ever. It's top 4 in my letterbox. I love that movie. And I just don't think other girls are watching Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaur as much as me, and that's okay. But what I mean is I'm different. And that's not, like, a bad thing. Neither of us are better than the other. I'm just saying it's different. So, like, books that reading girls would say is girlhood, I don't think they'd put Chlorine on the list because I don't think they've read it. But to me, Chlorine is girlhood. It's 4 a.m. Chlorine is girlhood. Chlorine is girlhood. Here's the thing. Girlhood is not pretty. If you've been a girl, you've suffered many times. Many times. Doesn't matter. You probably suffered a lot more if you were other types of minorities. I guess being a girl isn't a minority. But it's not fun. If you're a minority, you suffered more, babe. Way more. But any type of girl, trans girl, AFAB people who then became men later on in life, you've suffered. You've suffered in a very unique way that men will never suffer. Never suffer. Never suffer the way we suffered. And it sucks. It does suck. There's something beautiful about being a girl. There's something, it can't be replicated. You know, like, you know, a male can never, and when I mean male, I mean cisgender man. I'm not talking about trans woman. Trans women are women. I'm not talking about trans men. They've experienced womanhood. They've experienced girlhood. I'm talking about a cisgender man can never experience girlhood unless he transitions. Then welcome to the party, queen. But it's truly like it's messy. It's you know the Olivia Rodrigo song, all the time. Like, that is what girlhood felt like to me, and I feel like that was the closest I got with the neurotypicals where we related to each other. I was like, Olivia Rodrigo, and they're like, yes. And anyways, like, a girlhood is, like, extremely messy and uncomfortable and embarrassing and awkward, and it's, like, not, I just think a lot of women, when they talk about girlhood, they tend to, like, romanticize it and, like, aesthetify it, where it's, like, super aesthetic and, like, pretty, and I just, like, I'm here to remind you that, like, being a girl, like, it sucks sometimes, and it's also, like, being a teenage girl is embarrassing. I'm gonna tell you something really embarrassing. My second day of high school ever, I bled through my pants, second day of high school, and I bled onto my first hour chair. So, like, being a girl is messy. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's truly humiliating at points. I wouldn't trade it. And again, I'm gender fluid. I would love to be a man for a couple days, like, once a week. Maybe every Wednesday I become a man. And that's just my fantasy. Anyways, I still wouldn't trade it if I had the option to choose between female and male. I would always choose female. I love being a female. I love being a woman. I do. But it wasn't, like, being a girl wasn't, like, a peaceful experience for me because I was so mentally ill, and because I struggle to relate to people. I also will say a big factor of me and my girlhood is I don't have a mom, so I feel like that plays a big factor into, like, another reason why it was so hard to relate to my peers who had moms, because it's like we were raised very differently. I was raised by a sports dad. You were not. Well, maybe you are, but you also had a mom to, like, make him not listen to the hockey game during his son's graduation. Like, where does that coming from? My dad did listen to the playoffs during my brother's graduation. It was 2017, and guess who won? Pittsburgh. So, that's cool. Anyways, sorry, it's not a drama dump, but, point is, I feel like I don't think there's anything wrong with saying I'm not like other girls when you aren't like other girls and you're not diminishing and belittling other girls. But when I mean this was how I felt in girlhood, like, I definitely did experience psychosis multiple times throughout being a teenage girl, and if you didn't, that's okay, but, like, that's part of my girlhood. And it was so messy and uncomfortable and bitter at points, and I felt like it was a true authentic meaning of being a girl and experiencing being a girl, because it's not all pretty, it's not all bows and flowers. It is being abused by a person who's superior than you. Not superior, but, like, has power over you. Superiority over you. It's having a really gay crush on your girl best friend and then fantasizing about her while doing certain activities. It's buying pregnancy tests at the Walgreens and going to the bathroom to pee on a stick. Like, that is, I never did that personally. Just to be clear. I only say that because if my mom sees that, she's gonna be like, and I'm gonna be like, Mom, no, I would never let a eel. That's disgusting. Not for anyone else. For me. For me. I don't care what you're doing. I would recommend condoms, though. That's my opinion. But, I shouldn't say that. Yeah. Yeah, that's... That was something that happened in the book, to be clear. It happened in the book. But I really enjoyed it. It felt like girlhood to me. And again, I don't want it to, like, God forbid I become famous. God forbid. And I talk about this book, and I'm like, this book is girlhood. And then other girls read it, and like, oh my god, girlhood! And then they read it, and they're like, what the fuck? Like, I don't want that to happen. And I also don't want it to be labeled as like a girlhood book. Not that there's anything wrong. It's just because, like, I don't know. I feel like that has a negative connotation. I feel like people don't take it seriously, which is stupid. But it is a girlhood book to me. It's absolutely about girlhood and female friendship and abuse and, you know, essentially abuse in the athletic realm, which I don't think is talked about nearly enough. Athletes get like horribly abused from a young age. I'm not gonna have that conversation here, but if you want, like, if you did a competitive swim in high school and you had a really shitty coach, this might be therapeutic for you. Maybe not. It might be very triggering. I don't know. Either way, it's good. Yeah, it definitely, like, I read it and I was like, no, I get why she did that. Like, sometimes I'll read a book, I'm like, I don't know why that person did that, but I understand why she did that, like, 100%. I'm like, yeah, girl, I don't agree with it. I just want you to be happy, but if this is gonna make you happy, I just hope you don't die. I would be sad. I really love her. I'm really attached to her. And I am going to read this author's second book. I have it on hold in the library. It's a bit of a wait. It's 14 weeks. I'm hoping it's... Sometimes I will say... I don't like admitting this because I don't want people to be turned off from using Libby. But sometimes Libby lies too. Sometimes Libby is like... And it's not Libby's fault. People will just like... You can extend your hold for one time. So like if you're like... It's wait until you get down to 3 days. And then you can get back up to 21 days if you extend your hold. But, so a lot of people did that for chlorine, so I didn't get it for, like 2 months. That's not Libby's fault, but it did make me sad. So I hope it's an actual 14-week wait. Sometimes, actually, more times than not, it's a lot sooner than expected, especially for, like, shorter wait times. If, like, it's a 2-week wait, you'll probably get it, like, in a week. Sometimes a couple days. Just depending on, like, you know, when you place the hold. But, yeah, I feel like this wasn't a good video. I feel like I didn't do a good job. Like, it's a really good book. Genuinely go read, like, please go read it. It's so good. This was very butchered. This was just more for me to get my thoughts out. I would love to do, like, a well thought out, put together video. At one point, I'll probably read it to do that, but, it's genuinely my favorite book of the year so far, and I think it's gonna get into my top 5 for sure. So... It's really good. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I love you. Why did I say I love you? I don't love you. I don't know you. I'm sorry. I care about you somewhat. Okay. If you want to subscribe. That's all I have to say. Read this book. Even though it's really disturbing. And it made me kind of sad. And sometimes when I read a book that doesn't give me the happy ending I want, I do feel empty. But that's not bad. That's not bad. That means it was really good. That's how I felt after Mockingjay. Mockingjay gave like a kind of happy ending. Kind of. Anyways, please go read this book. And then go read I Who Have Never Known Men. And then if you haven't, go read The Hunger Games trilogy. And if you have, go reread it. I'm about to read Sunrise of the Reaping. And I'm really nervous. I'm going to read it soon. I'm really nervous. Like, genuinely, I'm fucking terrified. Because, like, and I'm going straight from an Allie Hazelwood book to that book. So, the whiplash, that's gonna be crazy. Okay, bye.